Hello and welcome. You're watching Market Edge here on ET Now. I'm Harsh Saita, and it's a very decent kind of recovery that markets have seen. At least Indian markets today in trade. We still need to wait and watch whether that recovery can sustain. Really, that will be the big question on everyone's minds. Given that Monday was such a good day, how does Tuesday really pan out? But let's go across to the headlines at the top of this show. Smart rebound on the street with the Nifty surging above the 22,900 mark despite Reliance's sharp decline. Broader indices see some outperformance driven by banks on the back of upbeat Q4 updates. All eyes will now be on the Nifty expiry tomorrow. Private banks Q4 updates show strong loan and deposit growth aided by seasonal tailwinds with improved loan to deposit ratios. HDFC Bank leads on deposit momentum while Axis Bank stands out on credit growth. Smaller banks like AU and RBL deliver robust numbers, but IndusInd, the trends were slightly weak there. All eyes on the RBI policy with expectations of a status quo on rates at 5.25% and a continued neutral stance amid rising global uncertainty. Elevated oil prices, rupee pressure and volatile capital flows are complicating the inflation growth balance, prompting a wait-and-watch approach. All eyes on TCS as it kicks off the IT earnings season with expectations of muted growth but stable margins. While macro headwinds persist, a weaker rupee is likely to provide earnings support. And all eyes will be on what Donald Trump does as he meets the military at the Oval Office following the rescue of a wounded U.S. airman. Trump has also set a deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, warning of fresh strikes on infra tomorrow. All right, and on the show today, what we'll have a conversation with Rajesh Palvia. We'll have his stock ideas. We'll take a view on all of the market moves that we've seen today and what we can try and pencil in and expect in trade tomorrow. We'll also do a quick roundup of what the FNOQs seem to be indicating, and we'll give you a slice of Prashant Jain's views, who seemed surprisingly constructive with regard to Indian markets. Of course, he said that it's a medium-term kind of outlook that he's giving. But nonetheless, he said these are the levels at which you have to go out and buy. So very interesting take coming in from Prashant Jain as well. But let me, in fact, go across to Sajid, who's standing by with the FNO snapshot. Sajid, it's obviously a day of recovery this Monday. But tell us, what does the FNOQ indicate for Tuesday in the day of trade?
That's right. It's a day of recovery with the Nifty trying to inch towards 23,000 at close, but there's a strong defense or resistance coming in at 23,000 for the Nifty. And if you look at how the market ended, 1% higher with the open interest of nearly 2.73% on Monday, it primarily gives an indication of the kind of shorts that were getting created as the Nifty inched up towards the second half of the day. Nifty Bank again in a smart move coming in the second half, up nearly 2%, led by some short covering and long position building that happened across private and private and public sector banks. Open interest down nearly 1.84, so that gives an indication of unwinding of positions that happened there. But look at the snapshot of Nifty Bank, and you'll get to see that a lot of bank stocks were having a lot of long position build up, which happened. HDFC started the day with some shorts, but ended the day with longs. ICICI Bank was short during the day, early morning trade, and then it ended up in long. So there's a long buying happening across the board in all the Nifty Bank, most of the Nifty Bank stocks, with the index up over 1,060 in today's trade. Look at how the Nifty options played out, and that gives you a good indication of where the call writers and put writers have been fighting today. 23,000 is where we saw towards the end of the day put writers being more than the call writers there, but at the same time you've seen some push back for the call writers, and the positions have moved towards 23,200 and 23,500, where call writers have taken additional positions. But during the day we saw the put writers adding positions in 22,800 and 22,900, and that, if you look at the distribution chart, that gives you a good picture of where we are. Call continues to be strong at 23,000, but if you look at each of the strike levels, there's good amount of put writing which is coming in with base of 22,500 as a good support for the Nifty there. So that's something which was playing out in today's market. Future gainers included Trent and Kalyan, so retail was at play today. Adani Green was up 8% in today's trade. If you look at other stocks, losers in futures, you will see stocks like Reliance, which was down 3%, and that was perhaps the largest dragger for the Nifty in today's trade. Marico and Oil India were the other stocks. So oil stocks and refinery stocks were in weak footing as we speak. Open interest gainers included stocks like Force Motors, where we saw some short build-up happening. Adani Power, we saw long build-up, and Vishal Mega, we saw some long build-up. In the open interest losers, we had stocks like Blue Star, short covering, saw the stock up in today's trade. Tata Tech also saw some stock short covering, and BDL also saw some short covering. So overall, it was a day where we were able to hold on to the gains and pushed the envelope a little higher towards 23,000. Let's see, it's Tuesday being a Nifty options expiry. It's going to be a little volatile. And in this week, we have a couple of central bank decisions coming in, which are RBI on Wednesday, and then you have the minutes of a Fed meeting coming on Wednesday. So there will be a lot of volatility which will be there, aside of the Trump-led volatility, which is, of course, has been the case for the last 1 month.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Sajid. That gives you a kind of picture with regard to what to expect with levels or the level of interest on the F&O front. Let's quickly, though, switch across, try and understand what the Nifty has done for the day this Monday. 1.1% higher on the Nifty 50 index. We've closed very close to the day's highs. We were in touching distance of 23K at one point, and we've closed around 25 points below that. So really those kind of gains that we clocked from the 22,550 levels have really sustained. And from the bottom of the day, we've gained nearly, in fact, 400 plus points from the day's lows. So we've had a very, very positive day when you're looking at it from the day's lows. Plenty of triggers, of course, some of them also being around the fact that there could be a resolution at play between US and Iran. And that has kind of played positively on our markets as well. But essentially, let me start talking stocks. It was the Q4 updates, and some of those updates have really been met with a very strong reaction on the street. Trent, for example, the stock was up 8% in trade, one of the top gainers on the Nifty 50, along with the Shriram Finance. No update there, but the stock was up 4% nonetheless. And Axis Bank, the stock was up 4%. And some of the financials actually did very, very well in trade today, given the kind of traction that we're seeing in terms of AUM or loan growth. A lot of the financials really participated well. Some of those obviously on your screen. And financials, banks, PSU banks, really those were the pockets, and real estate, in fact, those were really the pockets which did very well for themselves. Of course, PSU Realty is not a participant in the Nifty 50 index, but nonetheless, those were some of the big participants of the day. In terms of the big loser, it was Reliance Industries. The stock was down 3.4% in trade today. Around the 1300 mark is where the stock currently sits at, and it contributed a hefty bit even to the Nifty losses. It contributed 68 negative points to the Nifty 50, which is offset by HDFC Bank 67 negative points, positive points, I beg your pardon. And Axis Bank, of course, was one of those top gainers, 4% higher, contributed 30 plus points. L&T was the other one, nearly 30 points contributed by L&T as well. ICICI Bank did well for itself. Those were just some of the gainers. And look at it from the day's lows. The moves were quite strong. And that's what's really heartening to see in a market like this. Now let's look at the broader markets. And even those did very well for themselves. Nifty small cap was outperforming for a better part of the day, closed 1% plus higher. The Nifty mid cap as well, up 1.4%. for the day. And from the lows of the day, if you can look at the graph, some of these, both of these indices did very well for themselves. The Nifty Midcap had a very good rally from that 19,500, 19,600 kind of mark to be 400 to nearly 500 points higher. And the Nifty Small Cap as well did very well from the day's lows. Again, you see that 14,556 We closed in at nearly 14,900. So again, a 350-point rally of a far lower base. So we saw some real good moves there. In terms of sectors, I'll quickly take you through the sectors. I spoke about a few. Nifty, PSU Bank, Realty, Nifty Bank. Outside of that, defense, auto and metals also did reasonably okay for themselves. Those are some of the other pockets which notched gains. In terms of the advanced decline as well, overall on the market, there was very good resilience. In fact, the advanced decline was 4:1 plus at the broader end of the market as well. And you can see that on your screen. So you got a very good breadth. Of course, the Nifty 50 breadth was really what carried the Nifty higher. Nifty IT was one pocket which was slightly cautious. In terms of stocks, I'll quickly take you through it before I bring in Rajesh and start taking his stock calls and his views. A Senco Gold was up 12%, 45% growth, mind you viewers, that Senco Gold has clocked for this quarter. Trent was the other one, I did speak about that. Avenue Supermarts also 19% growth. First time in maybe a couple of years that we've seen, quarterly of course, that we've seen a growth of 19% YOY clocked by Avenue. So something seems to be turning out there, and we've seen the moves on Avenue over the last week or so as well. Metropolis was the other one. SAIL, Bajaj Auto, Hindustan Zinc, gains of around 2 to 4%. So slightly more reasonable on all of those. But nonetheless, we did see some decent moves on the back of the Q4 numbers coming out. In terms of just some other buzzers, Vikran Engineering was up 7%, again on the back of an order win. RBL Bank, again, very, very strong update coming in from RBL Bank for Q4, 6% higher. LG Electronics was up 4.5% after very, very strong commentary for FY27, reiterated, by the way. Ola Electric was the other one, 3% higher after PLI approval came through. Maxfin, EFC, MOIL were just some of the other buzzers. Adani Power as well. They won a PPA, and therefore that stock did very well in trade as well. But let me bring on board Rajesh Palvia, Head Technical and Derivative Research at Axis Securities, joining us this afternoon to kind of contextualize the move today and to try and get us a sense as to what to do tomorrow. Rajesh, let's start with that. What do you make of the move today, especially from the lows of the day and the recovery that we saw? Sustainable through the week? Of course, we have a long week now ahead of us after those two truncated weeks we had.
Yeah, good afternoon, Harsh. So this is second day of recovery, and we have seen that Nifty has taken the support from 22,500, which was the major put-based concentration, and strong recovery throughout the day. We have seen for most of the sector where underperformance was there or in oversold trajectory. The kind of recovery which we have seen in the broader market as well as in the banking and financial, which is giving us confidence that the sentiment is slightly improving on the buying side for the market. Nifty is comfortably managed to cross its 22,800 resistance area. That was the major call concentration area, and almost we are trading around 23,000 level. So looking at the data setup, we believe that if Nifty able to cross 23,000 level in the coming day, so I think here we may see short covering action and possible extension of this pullback towards 23,200, 23,300 we may see in the near term perspective, though volatility would be there because of a lot of news flows are coming from the geopolitical fronts. That could be a one factor where market may try to absorb all these kind of volatility based on the news flow. But the structure is slightly improving. Looking at the data, we believe that till Nifty is trading about 22,750. I think one should remain on the long side of trade for upside target of 23,300 to 23,400. Bank Nifty is also showing sign of strength, though we have not able to surpass 52,700, which is the immediate hurdle for the Bank Nifty. If at all Bank Nifty crosses these level in the coming days, so I think here also we could see short covering action and possible up move towards 53,400, 53,600 we may see for Bank Nifty also. So here also we are holding bullish stance at this juncture, as most of the large cap bank have contributed to this today's rally. So 52,200 needs to keep as a stop loss for Bank Nifty also.
Bullish calls on both. I mean, largely, I know you're awaiting levels of 50 to 700 on the Bank Nifty, but otherwise, largely bullish calls, Rajesh. Give us a tilt of your trade preference for Tuesday in terms of the day of trade. What would be the stocks you'd pick?
So there's two themes which looks good at this juncture. First one is consumption, and I think Avenue Supermart whole basket of this segment is under showing good buying interest, and the way DMart has shown a breakout on the daily weekly time frame. This is the third consecutive week where Avenue Supermart is making higher high low formation. Stock is comfortably trading about to all its near term short term moving averages. Looking at the breakout, we believe that furthermore upside we may see. We are projecting target of 4650 to 4700. On the downside, 4510 needs to keep as a stop loss. And for tomorrow's BSC from capital market theme is also looking attractive. And this kind of volatility, this stock is almost closer to its all-time high trajectory. And the way stock is consolidating and managed to give breakout on the near-term chart, I think BSC has potential to extend again 3050 we are projecting target. On the downside, one needs to keep his stop loss towards 2920.
Okay. All right, Rajesh, I'll give it a pause. Plenty of questions that I have as well. But let me go across to Raghav. He's here with all of the stocks which we had on our radar for the day of trade on Monday, which could obviously likely have a trickle effect on Tuesday as well. Raghav, what's on your list?
Well, Harsh, as per our report, there are a lot of stocks in news today. Senco was up 11.5% on the back of good Q4 wedding season-led growth of 46% YOY. It has launched 7 stores and hence the market is showing it in the sentiment. Trent was up 7.5%. Fast fashion retailer has a standalone revenue rising about 20% in the March quarter. Max Estate was up 7%. The company reported a pre-sales of 5,305 crores in FY26, largely driven by the strong March quarter, contributing about 3,392 crores. Shobha Limited was also up 5%, recording a highest ever annual sales of FY26 of about 8,138 crores. Vikrant Engineering was also up 6.5% in the trading session today. The company has secured 2 contracts worth 530 crores from Maharashtra State Electricity Distribution. Banks performed very good today. Nifty PSU Bank Index as a whole was up 1.75%. Top contributors was Bank of Baroda, which was up 3.62%. Bank of Maharashtra was up 3.85%. Nifty private banks were also up 1.94% as an index altogether. Top contributors were RBL Bank, 5.85% up. Bandhan Bank was 4% up. Axis Bank was also 4% up. Hence, banks saw a surge in today's trading session, largely due to the moderately good business update that came in the weekend. LG Electronics were up 5%, largely due to a good AC sales that have come in as an update. They've sold over 1 million plus units in January to March alone. Adani Green Energy was also up 7.6% on the back of good capacity expansion for FY26. Ola Electrics was also up 3.5% because they have received a PLI certification for their electric bike Roadster X Plus 4.5. Hence, all of these news were in news today as the markets soared.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Raghav. Let me go back to Rajesh. Rajesh, one of your picks was DMart. And there has been bullish call with regard to DMart, in fact, over the last week or so. What about Trent? I'm curious to know, because that one also is fairly, I mean, it's seen a sharp cut from the highs. And at 3,300, plenty of buy calls came through. Now, what next at 3,800, for example?
So stock was underperforming stock since last couple of months, and looking at the overall structure, stock is moving in down sloping channel on the monthly as well as on the weekly chart, which gives us that sign of bearishness on the medium term structure. But yes, looking at the recovery from the lower level, as you mentioned, 3,300 acted as a good support area, and the kind of recovery which we have witnessed on the near term chart, there is a sign of reversal on the near-term chart, but still, stock has to cross 4,000 mark to confirm that bottoming out process. Though stock has now managed to surpass 20-day, 50-day moving average in last couple of days move. So at this juncture, those who are already on the long side of trade can hold on the position as market is showing sign of recovery. And this stock was, turned from the oversold trajectory. So we could see another leg of up move towards 4,000 level. That would be the interesting to watch whether it's able to cross 4,000 or not. So that area is a supply zone. So some profit taking may initiate around 4,000 level, but at this juncture, hold the position with stop loss of 37.20.
Okay, so that's the take coming in on a trend. Uh, Rajesh, some of the jewelry stocks as well did very well for themselves. A Kalyan, a Senco. What should one make of some of those names and the moves on charts?
So I think Harsh, from that segment, Titan is clearly looking very attractive. The way stock managed to give breakout of falling trend line on the daily, weekly time frame, and stock is comfortably holding about to all its near-term, short-term moving averages. To Titan may extend its gain possible target towards 4350, 4400. We may see in the continuation of this up move. At this juncture, 4190 needs to keep as a stop loss. Again, Kalyan Jeweler also managed to give breakout on the near-term chart. The stock has broken its falling channel on the upward side. And looking at the breakout, we believe that till stock is trading above 410, there is a possibility of 435 to 440 next target in next coming trading sessions.
Okay, all right. You know what we'll do, Rajesh? We'll take a bit of a pause, a bit of a breather on this edition of Market Edge. I'm very curious, viewers, to ask Rajesh about banks because a slew of updates coming in there, and IT because you'll start to see the numbers unravel fairly quickly. So you want to be prepared with regard to how some of those names look on charts and what Rajesh's top picks are within that basket. Stay with us. Both those questions coming up. Rajesh still with us. Thanks so much for staying tuned, the viewers as well. Rajesh, we're going to try and do a little bit of rapid fire because I'm short on time. Let me first start with the banking pack. What's your favorite? Private, PSU, and within each basket, which ones?
So I think both basket are looking attractive to me. From private banking basket, I think Federal Bank as well as Kotak Bank, these two banks one can look at here. Structure is stable, and I think upward momentum we could see in the near term perspective. From PSU banking basket, I think one can focus on State Bank of India and Bank of Baroda. These two banks are looking promising based on the long term structure. And for SBI, we are projecting target of 1100 to 1120. On the downside, 1000 needs to keep as a stop loss. And for reversal trade, Bank of Baroda is also showing sign of reversal. So here also one can deploy some long trade for upside target of 268. On the downside, 256 needs to keep as a stop loss.
Now, Rajesh, switching focus to IT. How are you viewing the charts there structurally and any favorites there?
So we have seen in last 1 year of time frame, we have seen most of the IT stocks have shown significant supply pressure, and IT index itself have fallen around 30-35%. Looking at the structure at this juncture, most of the large cap IT stocks are still consolidating in very narrow price range and trying to defend their previous swing low. If I go with the large cap basket, I think TCS and Take Mahindra, these two stocks are, trying to build some bottoming out formation here, but still we are waiting for, breakout on this formation. If anybody wants to go on the large cap IT space, I think Tech Mahindra is looking promising in this basket, and on the downside, one needs to keep a stop loss of 1420. If stock able to take out above 1480, I think here we could see some more continuation of up move towards 1540, 1560 kind of zone. But on the mid cap basket, some of the stocks where we are focusing at this juncture is first one is Coforge. Here we are holding our bullish view, the kind of recovery which we have seen in the last couple of days from the lower level. We believe that the near-term charts have improved, and possible up move towards 1300, 1320 we could see for Coforge. So here one can buy and accumulate. On the downside, 1180 needs to keep as a stop loss. And another stock where we are focusing from the same basket is Tata Elxsi is also looking promising. Here we are projecting target of 4,500 to 4,600. One can buy and accumulate. On the downside, 4,200 needs to keep as a stop loss.
Okay, so that's the take. Also, Rajesh, I know you'll have a very limited chart history of LG Electronics, but let me broaden maybe the conversation as well. Let me try and bring in some of the other consumer durable names. Weather changes, strong demand, at least the environment seems to be, in fact, keeping some of these stocks in focus. What's your take very quickly with regard to the space as a whole?
So Harsh, most of the stocks are, displaying the same kind of structure at this juncture. We have seen most of the stocks are moving in a falling channel itself, not able to take out the resistance zone. Be it Havells, Voltas, LG India, all these stocks are having similar kind of structure. So though recovery is there from the lower level, so if I go with from the same basket, I think for LG India on the downside, 1300, 1320 needs to keep as a stop loss for playing out this pullback action. But again, in pullback, 1450, 1500 may act as a steep resistance for this pullback. Voltas is still struggling to cross its major supply zone, which is placed at around 1300. If at all a stock manages to cross this level, then there would be a breakout trade and then possible really towards 1400 to 1450 we may see for Voltas. At this juncture, buy and accumulate would be a strategy, but it may take time to give breakout of 1300. Once breakout happens, I think one can add more position. But till the time breakout is not taking place, I think one can buy and accumulate, but keep a stop loss of 1200 if you are accumulating this stock.
Okay, thank you so much, Rajesh. Really appreciate you coming in this afternoon and giving us your views with regard to, of course, the day of trade lying ahead of us on Tuesday. But, Rajesh was largely positive, as has been the case with most experts that we're speaking with. But someone who cuts through the clutter, really, in the midst of everything that happens is a Prashant Jain. He's Chief Investment Officer of 3P Investment Managers, needs no introduction, and he believes that the Nifty will continue to do well over time. He believes that the large caps are better placed as compared to broader markets. Listen into his views because you'll probably be able to apply them.
Over time, since locals are likely to continue to remain buyers, these flows I think are reasonably structural. I think whenever there is stability, whenever there is clarity, whenever foreign selling moderates or stops, I think these markets should actually do well over time. Yes. So I think we clearly have been of the view and that large caps are better placed than small and mid caps. And we have been of that view for last, I would say, 18 months now. So our portfolio clearly has a significant large cap tilt. So I think there is a very strong case that over time, equities will do much better than fixed income. I think most investors realize that. So I would expect that these flows to not just hold, but to continue to grow over time.
Well, that's the take coming in from Prashant Jain. But let's quickly go across to Mithali, who's standing by with all of the cues that you want to keep on your radar for Tuesday.
Right, talking about the important factors that could drive the market on Tuesday. First on the list, we have the Tuesday expiry of the Nifty contracts. Moving to the global cues from the United States, markets will be closely monitoring the durable goods data and also the consumer credit numbers. While from Europe, the S&P Global Services PMI data will be in focus. Talking about China, the foreign reserves data will be released. Back home, there's also a stock-specific trigger where the lock-in period ends for Pace Digitech, where around 13% of the shares become eligible for trading. Some supply pressure could be seen on the stock. Lastly, keep an eye on the commentary from the Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee. Any signals on the interest rate cut or the economic outlook could move the global markets ahead. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mithali, for that. Completely out of time on this edition of Market Edge. That's a goodbye from all of us here who put the show together.